Okay, so on my side of the fence,
Yeah,
the
what's going on in Woolly Land?
well, yeah, had a bit of a different week. I think I mentioned it a little bit last week, but Steph was hitting that point of like gotta get the fuck out, gotta get the fuck out. You know, getting
Yeah,
a
that
little.
that was exactly what Paige was doing when the car became like a far off future thing. To we need to get a car because I'm gonna kill you, Pat.
Yep. So that's when we basically put together the plan to grab our current quarantine bubble and
Hmm.
head up to the cabin. Found a nice cabin up in. It was I think it was like near Tremblant kind of area.
Okay.
It was nice. Uh, took a long drive up and basically yeah. It was me, Punch Mom, Reggie Min, Lil V, and Jill, his
Hmm.
fiance. And yeah, we kind of just went and chilled up there for a couple of days. It was pretty cool. It was very
Sounds nice
relaxing.
and relaxing. Yeah.
Yep, had a nice body of water to stare at. I got to, uh, stoke a fire and stare at it. And there was also a meteor shower happening this weekend, or last weekend rather. So, you could like catch a couple of comets whizzing by. So that was cool.
Careful it don't awaken some kind of ancient memory in you, buddy.
Nope, nothing like that. But yeah. So it was one of these kind of just no, not a ton of planning involved. Just ultimately a like just decompress.
Hmm.
And we did that. We did that. We did. It was pretty great. I like fire management. Fire management is fun. It's very cool. Jill's very good at building a fire.
It's just fun to
And
burn things.
it is. It is. I have some fire management memories from my days of basically Bible Scouts that I was doing.
That's a
It's called
hell of a rewrite.
is there was
Wooly
Pat.
has fire management memories. Is the version that will be written down in the history books.
Yeah, there's a thing called Pathfinders, which is like basically Bible Scouts for SDAs. And yeah, you learned a couple of things and all the same basic shit essentially. So that was cool. Um, did a couple of things up there clearly, and at the forefront of everyone's mind, and so therefore I guess it has to be first in the discussion point is the chips discussion, which nothing to it. It's pretty straightforward. In fact, new people here might not have heard it, but I definitely brought this up to you a couple years back.
So now that I've had time to percolate on it, I think I do remember this discussion.
Yeah, it was in the middle of some LP somewhere, but essentially what I did was I just went, every once in a while, I like to describe things as tech because it's fun, like the towel dryer tech, which is
You mean
that's the
life hacks?
that's another way to put it. That's another way to put it. Um, I've seen some people complain about their dryers being too far away, and I've seen some people complain about their wet floor. And to that, I say, if you don't have something on your bathroom floor to compensate for you getting out wet, then you're already fucking up to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, stop being a savage. Put some shit down on the floor so that you can step and not slip and die. Because I definitely have had a close enough encounter of slipping to know that, hey, head on the back of the bathtub from standing height, not a good time. So,
Slipping in the bathroom used to be funny, and now it's terrifying.
exactly, right? Of all the ways you can go, balls out, bleeding because you just slipped on a dumb thing in the bathtub is probably one of the worst. You don't want that going down.
I don't.
And who knows what'll happen when as you fucking bleed out and twitch, maybe your body will decide to evacuate itself, and then the scene becomes even worse.
Oh, it's ready.
So, hey, if you're stepping on wet floor and that's your problem, buy a fucking mat. It's not hard.
Or at the very least, throw down a towel or something. Like,
throw down a towel. That's what you do in a motel. You know, it ain't that hard. And if the dryer's too far away, then I apologize. That's unfortunate. It works best when the washer and dryer is in the same room as you. But that's besides the point. The chip discussion was quite simple, and what I brought up to you guys, and what was eventually brought up to the chalet was when a bag of chips, oftentimes certain brands more than others will have an uneven distribution of flavoring because the powder and a lot of the goodness in some cases will be concentrated at the bottom of the bag. Mm-hmm. And thus it is sitting on a shelf the entire time with that collected at the bottom of the bag. And every time it moves, every time it gets shipped in a truck, whatever it does till it gets on the shelf, it's all there at the bottom. So what I say is, instead of opening the traditional way, which is brand like logo up and you eat the bag and then you have the powder at the bottom, turn the bag over and you'll notice that the chips you eat off the top right away are really tasty. And as you reach into the bag to pull more chips out, what's on top, that sprinkled powder, will work its way down through the rest pretty effectively. It's something I've been doing for a while. And it obviously doesn't apply to a can of Pringles. And it definitely doesn't apply to, you know, like Ruffles is a kind of brand where it's like every chip is pretty much set in its way. It's not as much about the thing there, the powder there. But, you know, I feel like if you get like Miss Vicky's brands and things like that, you will definitely see more powder of flavor beneath it. It's a little bit like if you had those people that eat ramen raw. You know?
Those people are.
I used to do it. It's been a minute, you know. And to be fair, it's been
there's the setup. There's the setup for this nonsense.
So
this is I don't know what I said the last time. I might have changed my mind since then, but this seems warped.
It's pretty straightforward, really.
I don't like the idea of, if you have a chip, I don't want that chip caked with a second layer of like freed dust.
So
I think the dust at the bottom of the fucking chip bag is like the waste product from the natural, like it's like the shit of the chip. Like the idea of like, oh, I need to redistribute that fucking dust.
No, I think you're wrong on that, and I disagree with it, because I think what you're getting is whatever little bits break off in some cases, or whatever powder ends up falling off of the chips if it's a powdered flavored chip, right? And here's the thing about this stuff is it doesn't just apply to chips, right? It applies to a bag of cereal as well. A lot of this stuff I've stopped doing because I've been avoiding carbs generally, but you'll notice a bag of cereal is a really great example of shit gets to the bottom, and if you open the box and pull the bag out and you do it the opposite way, you will notice that, like, again, you're not getting this amount this shit at the bottom. I don't want
this cereal dust.
Well, that's fine. Then definitely don't. If you avoid it in general, then don't apply it to you.
Not only do I avoid the dust at the bottom, I shake almost every piece of food ever that goes into my face, so that all the bits that aren't really part of it that would fall off.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But here's what I'm saying about the bag of chips. If you are somebody who does like the flavor of the thing and you don't avoid it, like if you avoid that flavor, then of course, why would you want more of it? That makes no sense. But if you're somebody who does like that flavor and you want more of it on your chips and you want it distributed better throughout the bag, then if you do this, you'll get to do that. It'll help fix that problem.
I need to confirm something. Somebody said, do you even shake hamburgers? Hey, wonderful lady in my life, do I shake my hamburger when I eat it? No, I mean, like, do I eat a bite and then do this? I do that.
Okay.
We both. Okay, yeah, I do it. Okay, see, everyone in this house does that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay,
What
so
is
you
shaking
take
a
a bite of your
hamburger?
burger. You take a bite of your burger, right?
Okay.
And then the burger's still in your right hand,
Yes.
right? And then
Yes.
as you are chewing, you slowly shake the burger just a little bit so that the juices that would shoot out just fall out, and then it's safe to take another bite of the burger. I do that, don't I? Yeah.
That's fucking...
And when you take a bite of cereal, you move the cereal spoon up and down once or twice to make sure that the excess runoff milk falls out, so that you don't have to, you don't worry about cereal splashing on your face.
As a person who finds that spoons don't contain enough milk in many cases anyway, that's upsetting. That's pretty upsetting. I gotta say.
Upsetting?
As somebody who, like, I've been given a bowl of cereal with a teaspoon instead of a tablespoon at times, and you're like, the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
I eat cereal with teaspoons.
You want more milk with the cereal.
I don't want a
tastes
tablespoon. That's
better.
too much. That's too much of a bite of cereal.
How, like... Can I just break the fourth wall for a second here?
Yeah, let's break the fourth wall.
I brought this up knowing that anytime one discusses a weird food tactic, you are going to be the villain. And I was fully prepared to sit here and be the villain with this weird chip thing. And somehow you've taken the spotlight. Somehow. In the middle of discussion. I didn't even get a chance to pretend to go down an insane pathway towards chips being better off this way before you already took it somewhere else. I don't even know where to follow.
Well, because when you shake the spoon with the cereal, you're setting it to the same default state so that every cereal spoon is the same.
But milk with your cereal tastes good.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, when you're done with the cereal, do you drink the cereal soup?
I do.
Okay, I just tossed that shit.
The milk with the cereal flavoring is so good that they were thinking about selling it on its own.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They were literally thinking about turning it into its own product, and they actually had bars and then cereal milk experimental shit because it was delicious. That's crazy.
That's madness. Don't drink that. It's poison. That's why I give all my cereal soup to Paige. Because she loves poison.
Do you remember Get Out?
The movie I didn't see?
Okay, so shout-outs
I know what you're talking about, though.
Shout-outs to Pat sitting there at his fucking table with a glass of milk and a hand-picked bowl of Fruit Loops, which you then eat one... Eat the cereal, crunch it in your mouth, and then take a sip of your milk with a straw.
I have absolutely eaten that 100%. I don't use the spoon, though. I just pick it with my hands.
And then sip the milk afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay. The villain in that movie is shown to be so insane that that's how they eat cereal.
Yeah,
it's literally the point of showing the villain eating cereal that way is to emphasize how fucking crazy they are.
Yeah. I saw somebody say, asking the director, it's like, oh, was this a metaphor about, like, the white separated from the color? And he was like, no, I just wanted to think up the most psycho thing anyone could ever eat.
Exactly.
And I saw that. I'm like, oh, I've eaten that. I'll eat that right now.
Okay, well, anyway, the point of the chips was just that when you flip it over, you get some flavor. And then the counter argument was shake the bag, and then the flavor will get all over the chips.
Shaking the bag seems like a way more natural solution.
But it doesn't really work that well because, one, in a lot of cases, you're breaking up the chips more. You're just making...
You're just making it that hard. I mean,
And then the second is a shake like that is not enough to get a nice coverage over the full chip like bag. You're getting a little bit, maybe from the bottom to like the 75% mark, 50 if you go real ham on the shake, but it's not gonna do much. You're just kind of fucking up the chips in the bag more.
But
so the shake
like,
is kind of worthless.
All of these things are much more preferable compared to the anxiety caused by opening the bag upside down.
See, and this is what I wanted to touch on. What I wanted to actually get to, right, is it, are we looking at a situation where, right, even if there was no discernible difference whatsoever, is it just the OCD of the upside down logo that is bothering someone from the onset?
People have compulsive tendencies even if they don't have full-blown obsessive compulsive disorder.
Because prior to that clip starting, right before James started recording it, Min was looking at me opening it and going, "Turn it around. No, flip it around."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "What? Flip it around? No, this is intentional." You know? So it's like, if the logo being upside down is a part of this, then it's like, okay, so like, what fucking difference does that make? You know?
Wrong.
Here's what I will say. Back in the day, I remember they sold mini cereal boxes where you had to eat them sideways, where they expected you to flap open the front-facing side of the box, cut the bag open, and pour the milk in that way, and that was madness. It was insane, and it was a horrible mistake. And I don't know if they still make them, but dear God, it's terrible. It's the worst, right?
Just awful.
It's terrible. Really dumb idea. Okay.
I'm sorry that I stole your insanity thunder on this one, but I literally can't.
It's to be expected because again, I came in prepared. You know, I don't know what I was thinking.
I mean, shit, Willie. I mean, I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago that I pointed out to Paige when I was eating something. I'm like, you know, you haven't seen my mouth chew for like 2, 3, 4 years, right? And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, have you not realized that every single time I go to say anything with any food anywhere near my mouth, I take my left hand and put it as a barrier in front of the entire left side of the entire bottom half of my face? Because I have a terror of people seeing me eat. You can't let people look at you eat. If they see you eat, it will look bad.
You cover your mouth when you're speaking out of politeness for not spitting food at them while you talk.
Well, I also cover my mouth in general, even when I'm not eating. Sorry, even when I'm not talking. Because I don't like people to see me eat the food. I know exactly where that came from, though. You remember when I had the false teeth?
Yes.
Well, when you eat with the false teeth, you got to take the teeth out, and then I was like a toothless hillbilly looking fuck. I was like that for like 8 months.
So you had to hide it.
I had to hide it.
And now it's become a lifetime thing.
Now it's become a lifetime. Hey, Woolie, just remember, OCD is a fun little game where you make up rules for yourself and then follow them forever.
Yeah.
Fun little game.
Okay, well, look, stolen valor aside, I'm just saying that, you know, the third answer, which was proposed by some people here, which is I like to use a bowl for the chips. To me,
yeah,
a bowl is fine. A bowl kind of, it nullifies the entire thing. You pour them out, you have a bowl, that's where it is, right? But it's just inconvenient, and in many cases, I will use a bowl if I have to offer chips to a group of people. But if I'm just eating them for myself, I'd rather not have a bowl to wash after the fact. So I'll just fucking eat them from the bag.
I will often use a bowl for chips because the bowl sidesteps chip hands.
It does. It does.
Because you get
if
to
I'm in a
grab a chip
but if I'm in a situation where chip hands is not that big a deal because I can just, you know, whatever afterward, like, it's fine. I'll deal with it, you know.
I very much dislike chip hands.
But the bowl is, yeah, The bowl kind of comes out and acts as a neutral a third party to the situation. But all it is this, man. If you are bothered by the logo being upside down, then obviously this has no effect on the flavor whatsoever. This is a minor other mini goblin of some kind that you are wrestling with.
Joke, but it does.
Meanwhile, the only reason why I flip it is because the chips taste a little bit better when I do.
What if they don't actually? What if that's in your mind?
I have had a long time to figure this out, because the ritual every Saturday for a long time was you go to church and then you do the church food thing in the afternoon after the service, and then you dick around in the fellowship hall for hours, and then when the sun goes down and you're allowed to be a human again, you go buy a bag of chips and a drink or maybe some candy at the dépanneur down the street, and you enjoy that little treat, and we come back to church after that and then get ready to go home. Or no, we get ready for AY, excuse me, which is the evening service. But that chips you would get, I've had many a bag of chips, and I've tried out different kinds, and I was like, hey, you know, at some point, instead of having this powder at the bottom, which, you know, you can, like, depending on the flavors, if it's like salty and just like, if you're just eating salt, then you're like, okay, that tastes horrible at the bottom of the bag. But if it's a flavor that's like not that bad, if it's a nice one, you know, a decent Lay's barbecue or something like that, then like, yeah, you have it at the bottom, and I'm like, instead of having it all collect into this dust, let me just fucking flip that bitch over, get it all in there from the top, and then I'm like, oh shit, look at that. These chips taste better, and the ones that I reach in for afterwards continue to taste better. It's just that simple.
I bet that you would fail a double-blind taste test of this concept.
Depends on how high in the bag we're talking. If we're talking first layer, no. If we're talking everything beneath that, there's a higher and higher chance of failing. Certainly.
I bet that.
And here's the other bit. Here's the other bit. If you're going from a neutral, no chip taste in your mouth to chip taste, you're getting a lot of flavor either way, right? Going from 0 to chip flavor and being 0 to, let's say, 80% or 0 to 95% is a much harder thing than going from 80 to 95%.
I bet that if you wore 10 days in a row, given a random sampling of right side up chip and upside down chip, that you would be unable to tell which was which within the margin of statistical significance.
Again,
I bet you would get it correctly about 50% of the time.
Again, I think any human being going from 0 to chip, whatever that percentage is going to have a much harder time detecting whether it's the slightly more flavorful version or the slightly less flavorful version than going from an unflavored or the less flavorful to the more flavorful. It's the direct comparison from one to the other that you can actually tell more than going from 0 to chip.
So what you're saying is that you can't tell, therefore it's better.
That's not even at all. That's not even remotely close to what I said. That's not even. That's not at all what I said.
Be able to tell. Therefore, there's no difference.
No,
but it's better anyway.
I'm saying 0 to any chip is going to create a much harder distinguishing point than it is to go from regular to the other way around. And I would say this, as someone who's done it again a bunch of times, it takes a second. It literally you just flip it. It's the same process. It's pain-free, and you get a little bit more for it. That's it.
This is placebo. You're insane. And as somebody who knows a lot about my own placebos,
all right,
this is big placebo.
All right, now let's pause and break this down. All right, so can we agree that some flavors of chips have the powdered flavor that comes off of the chips in the bag at the bottom of the bag?
Yeah, like let's take just a Dorito, right?
Can we
the nacho
agree?
Cheese dust obviously falls to the bottom.
Okay. Now, next, can we agree that when you finish a bag of chips right side up, you have all that powder in there that you can choose to eat on your own if you wanted to?
There, you could if you liked. Yeah.
Okay, with the little crumbs. All right. So then, could we not say if you were to take a normal chip out of the bag, or have the entire bag poured out, and if you were to take a chip in your hand and sprinkle a little bit of that on it, that you would end up tasting a stronger flavor to the chip?
Well, no, because after you shake it, all the dust will have gone to its neutral state anyway.
That's not what I asked you.
That's what I'm telling you.
That you answer the question.
It will taste more cheesy than it should.
Should is an objective term. It's not an objective term, my friend. Should is subjective. I'm saying that you have an extra element here which can affect the flavor that does exist at the bottom of the bag. Therefore, when you turn it over, if you're saying it's placebo, you're saying that that dust ceases to exist and goes into the ether and stops existing, as opposed to landing on the surface of the chips, which it clearly does because physics.
If you were to prepare a chip in this way, I bet you could tell the difference. But we're not talking about singular chips that have been redusted. We're talking about a whole bag, and between the whole bag, you would not be able to tell any significant difference between it.
Again, it makes more of a difference towards the top. By the last chips, the dust is probably not permeating all the way back through, but it makes more of a difference for the top half of the bag for certain.
Just put the logo the right side up, Willie.
Logo's the problem. Logo's the problem. Logo is upsetting. Logo is...
Here's the thing, right?
Can't stare at logo.
Here's the thing, right? When you eat food and you're anxious, it doesn't taste as good as food when you're relaxed.
And upside down logos make you anxious.
Of course they do. It's wrong. It's in the wrong position.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll say this. More sane
That's why you have to make sure that food doesn't touch on your plate.
More sane people than you will argue this point from a point of view that doesn't involve necessarily logo anxiety, but the point remains, that is, if you like the powder to begin with, that's the asterisk. Which, because I'm somebody that is like, I can accept if you're like, I hate that shit, fuck that, get it away from me, then fine, right? This doesn't apply. In the same way that it's like, if you throw the milk out at the bottom of a bowl of cereal, you're kind of fucking crazy because of how good that milk tastes. But whatever.
I think it actually tastes quite bad, honestly.
It's so nice. Milk,
it's too sweet.
Post-cereal milk is so nice, dude. As a kid,
I like the...
it was like... It was one of my favorite things. It's such a reward.
I don't like it. I think it tastes bad. I like milk to taste like milk.
You know, I mean, I'm willing to say this. I know that as adults our tastes change. I know that as a kid I loved it. I haven't done it in a very long time. Maybe it's too sweet for me now as an adult because your tastes, your taste buds literally change as you get older.
It's true.
So perhaps there is definitely a factor that perhaps there is a factor that makes it better as a kid. I'm willing to throw that in there, right? I'm willing to throw that in there to say, yeah, maybe. But back then, it was sweet, but I loved sweet, and it tasted really good. So good that the company decided to make a product out of it, 2 products out of it. They had cereal milk sold in its own container, and they had the bars that were made of the cereal milk. That's what's up.
Awful.
That's what's up. Well, anyway.
Milk should taste like milk.
Milk should taste like milk, and then, after you've finished eating the cereal with the milk, you get some better tasting milk.
No. There's no better taste. No. No. No! That's wrong milk. That's cereal fucking trash milk.
Cereal tastes good. The flavors taste good. The sugar is good. The milk is good. It's all good. And then at the end of the milk bowl, it comes together.
Better milk. The best milk is the ideal, perfect default milk.
The purest milk. I see. Unsullied.
Unsullied by this fucking cereal trash. Big old glass of milk.
Sip it separately in its own cup. Keep the colors away from it. Put a straw in there.
Unless it's chocolate milk, but that's chocolate milk. That's its own completely different food.
Straw in the glass of milk, bowl of cereal dry. Let them remain unmixed. We crunch and then we sip. This is how we move.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Which is crazier?
Like a fucking psycho.
This is a legit question because I want to see how you fall on this. Which is more upsetting? Having the milk and cereal separate, or pouring water into a bowl of cereal?
Oh Jesus fucking Christ!
Because that's like madness to me. That makes me upset.
Okay. So, what you don't understand about that question is that a big part of being all about the God's health message,
Lord and whatnot,
is that sometimes we don't want to use things like regular milk because it's not as healthy. Right. What we need to do is get some powdered milk.
Oh, shut up.
And when you get the powdered milk going, if you're in the house of someone who has a big old box of powdered milk, then you're gonna
have a big old box of powdered milk.
Then you're gonna have to pour the right amount of powder with the right amount of water and create the milk yourself.
That's right.
And you're going to hope to God that the mix is A, correct, the portions are correct, and B, even if they're measured correctly, that you've mixed a thorough amount, that there's no clumps floating.
The clumps are bad.
But guess what? We are human, and we are only human. There will always be clumps. There will always be an inefficient mix, and there will always be a part of that which is just fucking water. So then you pour that shit over the cereal, and what happens? Well, you're mixing the soup, the fucking soupy milk water powder in an open container anyway, because you've got to have enough room to get the spoon going around. So when you pour it over, you see first the unmixed water hit your cereal, then you get the clumpy parts dropping on top of your cereal, and then the rest all comes together, and now you've got random bowls of cereal with clumps of water and powder milk explosions sitting on them, and you take a bite of that, and then the glop on the cereal explodes because it's a wet surrounding, but the powder inside is still powder.
Yeah, that's why we only use the powdered milk we have for coffee exclusively. Because it's small amounts, which is easy to do, and avoid this problem. And that's only on weeks that we can't get milk, which doesn't happen anymore. So
I've been to many a household where the only thing to eat was powdered milk with your cereal.
Great.
Be thankful for your regular ass milk. Yes, actually.
Like
at that point, you're just gonna put some cereal in a Ziploc bag and fucking eat it.
Like it's trail mix or something.
You have no choice.
Yeah. But then what if you're eating your trail mix cereal, right? And then you have a big old glass of milk. Now you're the bowl.
Again, a major motion picture that was Academy Award winning depicted the insanity of its villain as this exact action for the express purpose of communicating how insane this act is to any regular human being. And more than enough people loved and appreciated that movie and that moment because of how disturbing it was.
Listen, man, it's a rich tapestry. Something food.
Anyway.
Hey, do you follow Gripping Food with Force?
No.
That's a very upsetting Twitter account.
I have not seen that, and it sounds pretty upsetting. It does.
It's a Twitter account that follows an incredibly strict formula, which is picture number 1 is holding a banana. Picture number 2 is crushing that banana in your hand with like every conceivable food ever.
So forced to the point where the contents spill all out over the hand. Yeah, I hate that. That sounds that's annoying.
Like it is a Twitter account that like has gotten like tons of hate mail and oh no, the account's been temporarily restricted. People must be reporting it because they hate it.
Good. Remove this.
It's such a good one. Look,
so
hey,
anyway,
Woolie, I'll send you it. Look at it. Look at it and tell the people how it makes you feel.
I ain't looking at shit.
Look at it. Look at it, you fucking coward.
Why would you ruin an Eggo?